Reality doesn't exist until you look. And I'm about to show you why using the strangest experiment in physics. Right now, flip a coin, but don't let it land. Hold it in the air, spinning. In that moment, is it heads or tails? Some of you said both, others said neither. A few might have said it's random, or it depends on physics. You've just discovered the heart of quantum mechanics without realizing it. But here's what will change everything you think you know about the nature of existence. At the quantum level, that spinning coin isn't just unknown to you, it literally exists in both states simultaneously until the moment you catch it and look. This isn't philosophy, this isn't a limitation of knowledge, this is how reality actually works when you zoom into the fundamental building blocks of everything around you. Now pay attention to what happened in your mind during that coin experiment. When you imagined the spinning coin, did you see it as a blur of motion, or did you think about probability equations? Some of you visualized the coin, you saw it spinning, maybe even heard the sound it would make. If you're this type of thinker, you probably experience the world through images, stories, concrete examples that you can picture. But others felt the mathematics. You didn't see spinning metal, you sensed probability distributions, wave functions, the abstract relationships between possible outcomes. If this describes you, you naturally think in patterns and equations rather than pictures. Feynman often used examples like this in his lectures because he understood something profound. How you experience reality isn't universal. Some brains construct reality through images, others through mathematics, still others through pure logic or emotional intuition. But quantum mechanics reveals that these different ways of thinking about reality all miss something crucial. In QED, the strange theory of light and matter, Feynman showed that particles don't behave like classical objects at all. They exist in superposition states that defy classical description. The coin isn't spinning in any way you can imagine, it's doing something far stranger. In quantum mechanics, particles don't just have unknown properties before measurement, they exist in what physicists call superposition, a state where contradictory properties are simultaneously real until the act of observation forces reality to choose. Your spinning coin was a classical analogy, but imagine a quantum coin that literally is heads and tails at the same time, not spinning between them, but somehow being both simultaneously in a way that defies every intuition evolution gave you. This is the world Erwin Schrödinger tried to expose as absurd with his famous thought experiment. A cat in a box connected to a quantum system that has a 50% chance of triggering a poison mechanism. According to quantum mechanics, until you open the box and observe, the cat exists in a superposition of alive and dead states. Schrödinger intended this as a criticism, showing how ridiculous quantum theory becomes when applied to everyday objects. He thought it would prove that quantum mechanics couldn't be the complete picture of reality. He was wrong. Modern physics has confirmed that Schrödinger's intuitive objection was the part that needed to go. Think about what this means for everything you believe about the nature of existence. Every particle in your body was once in quantum superposition. The electrons in your brain, the photons hitting your eyes right now, the atoms in the screen you're reading, all of them have experienced states of being multiple contradictory things simultaneously. But here's what's even stranger about quantum superposition and reality. The transition from both states simultaneously to one definite state happens through measurement. But what counts as measurement? When exactly does superposition collapse into definite reality? This is called the measurement problem, and it's one of the deepest unsolved questions in physics. As Feynman explored in the Feynman Lectures on Physics, what counts as measurement remains mysterious. The transition from quantum superposition to classical definiteness happens through observation, but the exact mechanism remains unknown. Other interpretations propose that every quantum measurement splits the universe into parallel branches. In one branch, Schrödinger's cat is alive. In another branch, it's dead. Both realities are equally real, but they can't communicate with each other. According to this many worlds interpretation, your coin flip created parallel universes. In some universes, you caught heads, in others, tails. You're experiencing just one branch of an infinite tree of parallel realities that split with every quantum event. But there's a third possibility that's even more mind-bending. Maybe consciousness doesn't observe reality, and maybe parallel universes don't split. Maybe the superposition never actually collapses. Maybe you exist in superposition too, This connects to something Feynman discovered about quantum mechanics that most people find deeply unsettling. In The Character of Physical Law, he explained how his path integral formulation reveals that particles don't follow single trajectories through space and time. They simultaneously explore every possible path between starting and ending points. An electron doesn't travel from point A to point B along one route. It takes all possible routes, including impossible detours through other galaxies, backwards through time, and paths that violate every principle of classical physics. The reality you observe emerges from the interference between all these simultaneous possibilities. What you call the path the particle took is actually the sum of infinite parallel journeys through every conceivable route. Your life might work the same way. Right now, as you read these words, you might not be following a single timeline from birth to death. You might be simultaneously living all possible versions of your life, with the interference between these possibilities creating your experience of following one particular path. The you that thinks it's making choices and experiencing specific events might not exist as a single entity. There might be infinite parallel versions of you exploring every possible decision and experience, with consciousness somehow emerging from the interference patterns between all these parallel possibilities. When you made the choice to flip that imaginary coin, infinite versions of you made every possible choice. Some versions never flipped it, others flipped it differently, others thought about flipping it but didn't. The version you experience as yourself is just one path through this space of infinite possibilities. But it gets stranger, much stranger. Quantum eraser experiments reveal something even more disturbing about the nature of reality and observation. Scientists can set up quantum systems where they first measure which path a particle took, then later erase that information. When they erase the information about which path was taken, the particle's behavior changes retroactively, as if it had taken all paths simultaneously even after being measured. The act of forgetting somehow allows superposition to reassert itself backwards through time. This suggests that reality might not have definite properties even after measurement. Maybe the act of remembering or forgetting past measurements can change what those measurements meant. If consciousness plays a role in collapsing superposition, and if forgetting can restore superposition retroactively, then your memory might be constantly reshaping the past reality you experienced. Every time you remember something, you might be selecting which version of past reality becomes what actually happened from a superposition of all possible past realities. Your autobiography might be continuously rewritten by the act of remembering it. Wait, there's something even more profound about superposition and the nature of conscious experience. If quantum systems exist in superposition until measured, and if brains are quantum systems, then what prevents your consciousness from existing in superposition? What makes your thoughts definite rather than existing as probability clouds of potential thoughts? Maybe nothing prevents this. Maybe consciousness itself exists in superposition most of the time. Maybe what you experience as having a specific thought is actually just the temporary collapse of a much larger probability cloud of potential thoughts. The stream of consciousness you experience, this sense of having one thought follow another in definite sequence, might be like observing one path through quantum space while infinite other thought paths exist simultaneously in superposition. When you decide something, you might not be choosing between future possibilities. You might be collapsing a superposition of all possible decisions into one experienced choice, while infinite other decision versions remain in quantum superposition. Your sense of being a continuous self-making definite choices might be consciousness creating the illusion of classical reality from an underlying quantum superposition of all possible selves making all possible choices simultaneously. This connects to Feynman's deepest insight about quantum mechanics. Reality at its foundation doesn't work like everyday experience suggests. In 6 Easy Pieces, he emphasized that the classical world of definite objects with definite properties emerges from an underlying quantum reality where contradictory possibilities coexist. You don't just live in a quantum universe, you might be a quantum process temporarily organized into patterns complex enough to experience the illusion of being a classical observer making definite observations of definite reality. The you reading these words might not be a single conscious entity. You might be a probability cloud of potential consciousness temporarily collapsed into one definite experience, while infinite other consciousness possibilities remain in superposition. Every moment of awareness might be consciousness choosing one path through infinite possibility space while remaining in superposition across all other possible paths of experience. But don't worry about understanding this completely. As Feynman famously said, I think I can safely say that nobody understands quantum mechanics. The strangeness you feel isn't failure, it's appropriate response to reality that transcends classical intuition. We are pattern-seeking creatures evolved to navigate a classical world of apparently definite objects. We weren't designed to intuitively grasp superposition, measurement collapse, or quantum consciousness. But somehow, through careful thought and elegant experiments, we can glimpse the quantum reality underlying classical experience. We can understand that definite reality emerges from infinite possibility through processes we can describe mathematically but never fully visualize. Let's return to where we started. Reality doesn't exist until you look. Does that make sense now? Not reality is hidden until you discover it, but reality becomes definite through the act of observation. Before measurement, quantum systems exist in superposition, all possible states simultaneously real, until observation collapses the probability wave into specific experience. You are not discovering pre-existing facts about reality. You are participating in the ongoing creation of definite reality from quantum possibility through the fundamental process of conscious observation. Tomorrow, when you flip a real coin, remember before it lands, quantum mechanics suggests it exists in superposition of heads and tails. The definite result emerges through measurement, but infinite unmeasured possibilities remain in superposition. Reality is far stranger and more participatory than classical intuition suggests. You don't just observe the universe, you help create it through the quantum mechanical process of consciousness interacting with possibility. The universe dreams in superposition. Consciousness makes dreams real by choosing which possibilities become experienced real.